The Pittsburgh Steelers are pretty banged up after facing the Houston Texans on Sunday. They're dealing with a lot of injuries, and some will have to miss time due to it. So, obviously, we saw Kenny Pickett get injured, we saw Pat Freiermuth get injured, and not even just them two. Heading into the game, the Steelers are already without Cameron Heyward, without Deontay Johnson, without James Daniels, and then Dan Moore Jr. got injured during the game as well. So the Steelers are dealing with multiple injuries from the Houston game, and just a lot of them throughout the season thus far. And now, to talk about the thumbnail, you see Kenny Pickett on the injury list. You see him dealing with that knee injury. You see him leave the game late in the game because of that knee injury when they did not convert that fourth down. He scrambled out the pocket, and then he got sacked and injured his knee. He was out of the game, and the Mitchell Trubisky took over. Well, there's been multiple reports since then that it is a knee injury, but it was really confusing to find the right answer of what it actually is, what actually is his injury. Because Ian Rappaport reported that Kenny Pickett will miss some time with a knee injury, but then he didn't state what it is. Mike Garafolo, in his report, said the initial testing on Kenny Pickett's yesterday didn't point to any ACL injury, which is obviously a good sign, and that gives hope for the Steelers quarterback for it to only be a brief absence. And then Adam Schefter, he went on the Pat McAfee show and it was talking about Kenny Pickett for a little bit along with other injuries around the league, and he said it's still unclear exactly what Kenny Pickett's injury is. So those three earlier in the day, they didn't really have any idea exactly what Kenny Pickett's injury was, but then it got reported by Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk that Pickett is dealing with a minor MCL sprain. And then Ian Rappaport came back around to it and said that Kenny Pickett's dealing with a bone bruise in his knee. So it's unsure if it's exactly a bone bruise or an MCL sprain. But obviously, Kenny Pickett, he avoided any major injury, and that's a very good sign for him moving forward. So that's his injury, and the Steelers' bye week is next week. Not this week, it's next week, meaning that they might be able to sit Kenny Pickett for this week and have him return after the bye week. We all know MCL sprains, it takes kind of 2 to 3 weeks to heal, so him having an extra bye week, if he sits this week, may be a good sign. But you never know, maybe he'll tough it out and he'll play. But moving on to the other injuries, because this one is also pretty bad as well. Pat Freiermuth, he dealt with a hamstring injury and had to leave the game. So him dealing with a hamstring injury, sometimes you think you just tweaked your hamstring, but apparently Pat Freiermuth's injury is more severe than just a pull, and more severe than just a pulled hamstring. So Pat Freiermuth, he's been ruled out for 2 to 3 weeks, and we all know how hamstrings go. Those type of injuries are the lingering type of injuries, where you could be out for 2 to 3 weeks, but then when you get back thinking you're at full strength, it kind of hurts again and you pull it again because it's a lingering type of issue with a soft muscle. So Pat Freiermuth, he's going to miss at least 2 to 3 weeks, but as Deontay Johnson knows, hamstrings could take more time to heal as well, because we all seen Deontay Johnson go on IR that first week and that he got a hamstring injury, and now he has to miss 4 weeks, and he went on IR for it. So Pat Freiermuth, hopefully it's not as long, but he will be out with a hamstring injury. Another player who got injured, which I really didn't see this injury happen, but DeMarvin Leal, he remains in the concussion protocol, and it's questionable to see if he's going to be playing in this week's matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, he has to clear it with a passing test in order to play, so let's see if he's able to do that. Also, Mike Tomlin, in his press conference today, gave an update on Presley Harvin III, our punter, saying he continues to manage his hamstring that held him out of week 4 and will be addressed later in the week. Like I said, it depends which leg it is. I don't know which leg it is for Presley Harvin, if it's his punting leg or if it's his planting leg, but hamstring injuries linger, and Presley Harvin III is also dealing with one, and many other Steelers are also. So the Steelers, they have a lot of injuries, but James Daniels, they received good news on him. Mike Tomlin reported that he's looking much better with his groin injury, and he'll probably participate at some level, and they'll get an amount of participation, and the quality of participation will be their guide in terms of game day availability. So, groin injuries, hamstring injuries, those are lingering issues, but it seems like James Daniels is making progress with his groin injury. Cameron Heyward is also dealing with a groin injury, and he's had to have surgery on his, out for 8 weeks. So James Daniels, they at least received some good news on that injury front. But going back to some bad news now, because we saw Dan Moore Jr. leave the Houston Texans game very early, and Broderick Jones had to take over at his left tackle spot. So with Dan Moore Jr. going down with a knee injury, Mike Tomlin revealed exactly what it was. Apparently, it's a knee sprain, and he's going to actually be out this week, already ruled out of the Baltimore game, meaning that he won't be playing, and also meaning that Broderick Jones will get his first start at left tackle. So obviously, there's two stones there. A bad injury that we never want to see with Dan Moore Jr., and on the other hand, we have Broderick Jones making his first start and seeing what he could do at the left tackle position to see if he could help this offense line. But Broderick Jones, he's going to be taking over Dan Moore Jr., and Dan Moore Jr. out with a knee sprain. So that's kind of the list of the injuries for the Steelers. Just to recap what it is, Kenny Pickett, he's dealing with a knee injury. It's either a slight MCL sprain or a bone bruise reported by different people, and he's questionable for this game. Pat Freiermuth, he's doubtful and basically out for the game, out 2 to 3 weeks with a hamstring injury. Dan Moore Jr., he's also out of the game with a knee sprain. And Presley Harvin III, I would say he's doubtful, but he's listed as questionable for the game with a hamstring injury. James Daniels, he's also listed as questionable with a groin injury. DeMarvin Leal, like I said, questionable with a concussion. So the Steelers, they have a long list of injuries heading into this Baltimore week. They're already out with a lot of people from the previous weeks. So going into this game, they're going to be undermanned. So other people are going to have to step up. But all in all, I think this is a big update for Kenny Pickett because obviously you never want to see a major injury, and he avoided a major injury, and it's nothing too severe. I also want to give you an update on what Mike Tomlin said, because you remember the play where Kenny Pickett did get injured and how they came out in the shotgun formation and didn't come out under center on that 4th and 1 play call, and it had many of us wondering why you wouldn't run the ball or at least do a fake play action pass off of it. Well, Mike Tomlin said with Dan Moore Jr.'s injury and with tight end Pat Freiermuth's injury at that point in the game, them being out of the game, it took away the things that they wanted to do on offense, and especially in the short yardage situation. That's what he said today in his press conference about the game on Sunday and talking about that play. But it just didn't really make any sense if you think about it, because Dan Moore Jr., it's not like you have to run the ball directly at his side. There's a whole other 4 players on the offense line who are still in the game. Yes, Nate Herbig was a replacement, but you could still run the ball in between the tackles, away from Broderick Jones' side, in between Mason Cole and Isaac Seumalo, or even to the right side where we had the players playing as well. You didn't have to run it directly at Broderick Jones just because Dan Moore Jr. is out the game. So that just doesn't really make any sense. And even with Pat Freiermuth being out the game, it's not like they're targeting him anyway. In the passing game, he only had 1 target for like 1 reception for 5 yards or something like that. So he wasn't involved in the game anyway. So there's no excuse to why you would run that play with those 2 of the game. It's not like there was a big deal because Pat Freiermuth wasn't getting targeted either way. And Pat Freiermuth, he hasn't been really good at the run blocking game either, if you're going to make that excuse. So that play, all in all, Mike Tomlin explained it, but it just doesn't really make any sense of the way he explained it. But with that being said, that's the end of this video. This is the injury update, and it's a long list of injuries for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into a tough matchup of the AFC North against the Baltimore Ravens this Sunday. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about these injuries? How do you feel Kenny Pickett will do? Do you believe he'll get better and better, or do you believe this is kind of where he's at right now in terms of play style? Do you believe he should start this Sunday or have an extra week's rest with the bye week the following week? Let me know your thoughts on the other injuries as well, with Pat Freiermuth, James Daniels, Dan Moore Jr., Broderick Jones getting his first start. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like serious content, analysis, reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for this channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post next year's video. Turn on notifications down below. I cover everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, rumors, highlights, reports, analysis, everything like that, all of that nature. And if you want to stay up to date with everything Pittsburgh Steelers throughout this regular season, just know I make a video every single day covering it. So like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications down below, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.